Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, Daniel Penny is winning. He hasn't won yet, but he's winning. Lori Vallow is going to go pro se. I can't wait to watch this train wreck. The manhunt continues in the CEO killer case in New York. Suzanne Simpson's DNA found on a handsaw. It was probably her favorite handsaw. That's how her DNA got there. We have this day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
Hi, lawyer.
Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment down below. Hit that little bell for notifications. And remember, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Sorry, I did not do a video yesterday, but I was in trial. It was the baton death march of a trial. We did 13 witnesses starting yesterday at 8 a.m. We resumed again today at 8 a.m. We finished, and we got a resounding not guilty in an hour and a half on all charges. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, not going to toot my own, well, I am going to toot my own horn here just a little bit. I know there's a lot of people out there on YouTube, lots of lawyers doing stuff. I think we were one of the first that were doing it, going way back as Chris Watts. But I just want you to know, when seriously, and I'm not trying to brag, but maybe just a little bit, going on 30 years. How many of these YouTubers out here, still go try cases? This is now my second trial in 3 weeks. A couple weeks ago in federal court, had one yesterday and today, very serious allegations regarding sexual misconduct. And supposed to have another one on Monday, but I resolved it while I was in trial. Hardest working man in show business. Second hardest working man in show business, that's Frank, is the first, I guess. But what I'm saying is, you know, think about that when you go listening to advice of these people. How many of these people have actually, and I'm not throwing stones, I'm just saying, how many have actually tried cases and still try cases and do it on a regular basis? That's all I'm going to say about that. But let me tell you, from experience, from a case that I just got a not guilty on 5 counts, ladies and gentlemen, if this individual had done one thing and gone to CrimeTalkSearch.com, he could have got a background search. And if he had done a background search, he would have found out that the person he was coming in contact with was crazy, violated all the rules of the Reich Law Firm and Crime Talk as it relates to dating, right? Age, big deal. Second, check the medicine cabinet, see what kind of medications are on. Yep, that's right. And if it's for mental health, guess what? One of you is going to prison, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember that. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. I'm telling you, if somebody new is coming into your life, check them out. It is not enough to do a quick Google search or, oh, my friend says everybody's okay, or they seem like a good person. No, go check them out. You're going to get information related to their social media, emails that they have related to their social media. You're going to get information on background checks as far as criminal history. Are they a sex offender? Have they been arrested? Do they have active restraining orders going on? All those types of things that you want to check out immediately before you enter into a relationship with anybody. I'm telling you, we don't try to sell people things they don't need. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. Somebody, whether it's you or somebody you know, needs to go check somebody out. And remember, yes, it's a small fee, but you can cancel at any time, but you never know when you're going to meet somebody, and you never know when you're going to need it, and maybe you just want to do it out of curiosity. But go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for December 6th of 2024, Friday already. So Daniel Penny, he is winning. Let's give you a little background, and then we'll give you the last update that just came out. So jurors in the Daniel Penny trial, in the subway chokehold death case of Jordan Neely, said they were deadlocked as trying to reach a verdict on the top charge of manslaughter, even after the judge told them to go back and keep trying to deliberate. Now, the jury first said at about 11 a.m. that they could not come to a decision on the charge and sent a second note to the court with a similar message about 3 hours later. Resume your deliberations with an open mind. The judge told the jurors after they sent the first note, saying they were having trouble reaching a consensus on whether to convict Daniel Penny on recklessly causing Mr. Neely's death by placing him in a 6-minute chokehold back in 2023. The judge said, quote, "I'm not asking any of you to violate your conscience. Reading what's known as an Allen charge, an often used judge instruction that urges judges to reach a unanimous verdict. It says be flexible, be willing to change your position, listen, but don't compromise if you are absolutely convinced one way or the other." So initially, it wasn't clear whether the jury, if it fails to reach a verdict on the manslaughter, will consider the lesser count of criminally negligent homicide. Well, the district attorney urged the judge originally to let the jury consider the lower charge if it came to an agreement on the manslaughter charge, while Penny's attorneys pushed for a mistrial. Quote, "It would be crazy result to have a hung jury just because they can't move on to the second count," the attorneys told the judge. But after being sent back into the jury room to keep deliberating, the panel sent another note minutes later asking the judge to clarify the term reasonable person as they decide whether, like I said, Penny was justified in placing Mr. Neely in that chokehold. Now, to acquit him on justification grounds, the jury will have to decide that Mr. Penny used deadly physical force, and it was necessary for him to do so to defend himself and others on the subway, and whether a reasonable person in Penny's situation would have acted the same way. Well, I'm not sure. I think he was a hero person, in my opinion, because all the other reasonable people sat down and sat there in fear, in complete intimidation, and did nothing. I think he's a hero. Anyway, ultimately, what a reasonable person is up for the jury to decide. The judge noted, hope that helps, and the jurors have been deliberating since Tuesday. But let me give you the latest update. Late Friday afternoon, the district attorney said, "Judge, please dismiss the most serious charge, reckless, the one that carries up to 15 years in prison, and let the jury only decide on the criminally negligent homicide charge." That's good and bad. Obviously, now Mr. Penny has beat the first charge. It's now been dismissed. But you still have the lesser charge that it was, in fact, negligent. So I worry for Mr. Penny here because we could have a situation where there is a compromise verdict where somebody said, I'm not going to find him guilty that he was acting recklessly, but I could possibly come to a negligence finding. So I'm a little worried about that. Hopefully the jury will go home, get it right, listen to Crime Talk, although they're not supposed to, I know, but listen to Crime Talk and realize that Daniel Penny, he's not a reasonable person. He was more than a reasonable person. He was a hero. When everybody else cowered and was scared, one person stood up. And who was that? Daniel Penny, former Marine, served his country honorably, and now being put on trial by the worst district attorney in the United States, if not the world, Alvin Bragg. Worst district attorney ever. And I would urge the people of New York, although I don't know what the hell people think in New York anymore. I just don't get it. Such a great city, great people. How you can always seem to elect the worst district attorneys ever is simply beyond me. But maybe you guys, after the Daniel Penny trial, will decide that maybe Alvin Bragg needs to be recalled. Certainly not re-elected. Worst. And remember, ladies and gentlemen of New York, you get the government that you deserve. So I know you're better than this, and I know you deserve better than Alvin Bragg as a prosecutor for you, representing the people of the state of New York. Next on the docket, Lori Vallow is going pro se. Now, I'm not going to lie. I want to watch every second of this train wreck, ladies and gentlemen, every second of it. So let's get you the news. One day after a judge declared Lori Vallow competent to stand trial, a second judge has now granted her request to represent herself at her upcoming murder trial in Arizona. Vallow returned to court today, and the judge, having found to be competent by 2 doctors who evaluated her. At that hearing, the judge based his decision to declare Vallow competent on the written reports by the doctors who met with Ms. Vallow on November 7th, as well as on December 2nd of this year. Now, the judge found Ms. Vallow understands the proceedings and will be able to assist in her defense. However, Vallow was not interested in assisting her attorneys in the defense of her case and asked to renew her request to represent herself. The judge reminded Ms. Vallow that it's very risky to represent herself, noting that she would be held to the same legal standards as a lawyer for the prosecution. And Vallow told the judge that she felt ready to handle her own case and that she had studied case law in both Idaho and Arizona in preparation for trial. And she has done a trial, let's not forget that, where she was found guilty of killing husband number 5's wife, Tammy Daybell, and also her 2 children. So she does have that in her favor, so to speak, although I think her attorneys didn't do the best job that I've ever seen representing somebody at trial. But hey, that's okay. That's okay. She is going to do it. Like I said, she's, according to her, she has participated in 3 full trials, referring to the 3 trials. Actually, it was one trial, as it related to the death of 3 people. She's practically a pro. A pro. Anyway, one of those trials was in Idaho, where obviously Lori Vallow was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of her 2 youngest children, Tylee Ryan, J.J. Vallow, and her 5th husband, first wife, Tammy Daybell. Now, Chad Daybell was also sentenced to death for the murders of his wife and J.J., as well as Tylee, Lori Vallow's children. And Ms. Vallow is currently in Arizona waiting for that trial as it relates to the murder of her 4th husband. This woman is a black widow. Anyway, Charles Vallow is the issue at this particular trial, as well as the attempted murder of her niece's ex-husband, Brendan Boudreau. Now, the judge set Vallow's trial for March 31st and a status conference on January 10th. Note to Frank, put that on the calendar. It's going to be streamed, but I think this is something we need to go see for ourselves. We did it in Idaho. We got to go see it in Arizona. Anyway, the court-appointed attorneys who had represented her will remain on the case as standby counsel, which means if Lori Vallow is at any point comes to the conclusion that maybe this isn't the best idea, that maybe she shouldn't be doing this by herself, all she has to do is give the judge the secret nod, touch the finger to the nose, and standby counsel will come on. Now, obviously, it takes a little more than touching the nose with the secret signal to the judge, but you know what I'm saying. I've done this before. I was standby counsel on a court-appointed case years ago. The guy actually went pro se to the United States Supreme Court and won. He wanted to do his case by his own. He asked for standby counsel. I was like, well, what do you need me for? I've never won a Supreme Court. I hadn't then, but now I have. Anyway, and then he did his voir dire. He wanted to do his voir dire and literally said, hey, Judge, can Scott do it now? I remember I got called to the bench, and the judge said, Scott, are you ready for this? I said, well, Judge, I kind of had a feeling this may be coming down the pike. I said, but give me 5 minutes. I'll be ready to go. And I did my opening statements, whereupon a jury promptly convicted my clients of doing various things that were not protected by the First Amendment. Okay? Once again, going back to how many podcasters out there actually try cases. Just saying. Just saying, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'm feeling a little emboldened today just because I got 5 counts, not guilty, hour and a half, serious sex case. I'm tooting my own horn just a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, when I get done with this, I'm going to go down to the Brown Palace in Denver, Colorado, and I'm going to have a fine Cuban cigar. Okay, it's not Cuban. Well, maybe it is, but you'll never be able to tell because it'll be burnt by the time you get there. We're going to go turn some fine leaves into, burn them to dust, so to speak. Anyway, in a statement as it relates to the decision, Larry Woodcock, obviously Charles Vallow's brother-in-law and JJ's grandfather, who we've had on the show, and his lovely wife, put out a statement saying Lori thinks she is innocent. She murdered my grandson. She is nothing more than a convicted killer of children and a strong, intelligent Charles Vallow. what she did to our family and friends is nothing less than pure evil. Now, like I said, I must say, I love Larry Woodcock. I met him at CrimeTalk a couple years ago. They've been on our show. They were Patreon members, and they literally asked me for advice, like how things are. Like, hey, you need to contact this person. If you don't think they have a victim advocate, and you need to advocate for yourself and things like that. Anyway, I've spoken with him again last time I saw him. I love the man. He is just, a successful businessman. And I still swear to God, all right, that there would not have been justice in the Lori Vallow case in Idaho, but for the Woodcocks pushing and pressuring the authorities to keep the investigation going, because it easily could have been kicked to the curb. Somebody said, "Oh, missing children, put them on a milk carton or something." But the Woodcocks kept that going, so hats off to them. Obviously, we'll give Lori Vallow the presumption of innocence in her case in Arizona. Like I said, this is going to be a train wreck. I can't wait for it. I hope she testifies in her own defense. Next on the docket, the CEO killer. Now, I know this is a very serious offense. We can't go around killing people, ladies and gentlemen. But you got to admit, have you seen some of those comments about this being out of plan? I mean, people are just going to town. You find out how much people truly hate insurance companies and the people that run insurance companies. Now, I'm certainly not saying that the CEO deserved to be killed, because we don't advocate that. We never advocate violence. Never. All right? But I agree. Insurance companies, they're evil. They really, really are. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, as the manhunt for the suspect has entered into the third day, investigators released another set of photos showing the person of interest taken at the Upper West Side hostel, where apparently this person was hanging out for the last couple of weeks. Anyway, these photos gave the first glimpse of the backpack-wearing suspect, smiling little face. He was once again seen sporting a black face mask, but only around his neck. Now, he also wore a hooded jacket, which appeared to be a lighter colored than in the first set of images. And online speculation is running wild. We're quick to note that the discrepancies between the images and the claimed differences suggested that they show two different people. So obviously different people, bigger frame, jacket, and no breast pockets. Facial hair is much darker. Several people have written as comments as it relates to these releases. So we're just posting pictures of people in jackets and hoodies now, another noted. Different backpack, different jacket, different nose. Great job, boys, one person said. You guys are on it. It looks like two separate people, another concurred. Anyway, many focused on the fact that the killer's clothing and backpack appear to be quite different in color as well, although the images of his face may have been taken late November. Now, experts have said that the killer almost certainly changed out of the outfit that he was wearing at the time of the slaying. Anyway, the NYPD has released the pictures and is offering a $10,000 reward to try and get some help from the public. Now, the suspect remains at large after he was able to escape following the ambush of Mr. Thompson and then fled on an e-bike. Now, the healthcare insurance boss was gunned down on his way to a New York Hilton Midtown Manhattan for an investors conference. Now, investigators have not yet released a motive. Bullet casings inscribed with the words deny, defend, and deposed were found at the scene. I love this. I mean, I'm not saying we got to go around killing people, but one, I like the boldness. Okay? And I like the calling card. Now, this is classic 404B evidence. If you could find, let's say, oh, there was another killer, and they left these bullet casings with delay, deny, defend. Oh, that's classic 404B evidence, ladies and gentlemen. I love the guy's boldness. I love the message he's trying to send. Certainly not condoning violence. Let's just be absolutely clear about that. Not condoning violence. But I don't know. This mystery man, this guy apparently, he's got a good suppressor. The guy was wearing Hermes tennis shoes, his backpack, and his hoodie. The guy's got some fit going on, right? Hey, what's your fit today? Hermes, $1,600 shoes. Suppressor, $900. This guy, he was a man with a plan, dressed for success. Anyway, the message is quite similar to a book that was published back in 2010 by a Jay Feynman, which was titled Delay, Deny, and Defend, which details why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. Yeah, because have I mentioned that insurance companies are generally horrible horrible people. Now, the people that work there, they're just doing their jobs. But I think the lesson that can be learned here is it never hurts to be nice, does it, ladies and gentlemen? You never know when someone may walk up behind you at an investors conference if you're being mean to people. Anyway, while many people have lamented Thompson's death, his brazen murder has ignited outrage over the state of the U.S. healthcare system, with many healthcare system customers posting online about claims which have allegedly been denied. Now, Thompson's estranged wife revealed that the CEO had received threats about a lack of coverage ahead of his New York trip. He had a security detail with him for the conference appearance, but they were not present at the time of the attack, obviously. Anyway, and the gunman fired several shots during the ambush and jammed his gun in the process, but managed to quickly clear any obstructions and continued firing, hitting the CEO in the back and the leg as well. Anyway, people are speculating that this guy was calm and proficient, but was he a professional hitman? Well, it's to be determined. Anyway, the unidentified killer apparently rode a bus from Atlanta to New York 10 days before he shot Mr. Thompson dead, and he arrived on November 24th. Now, he reportedly spent his days bouncing around the city and even visiting the Hilton Hotel days before the killing. I hope he didn't take his cell phone with him. We know he dropped what they believe to be a burner phone. You know, I'm kind of hoping the guy didn't bring his phone. This is going to be a great trial, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait. Anyway, the suspect used a fake ID, apparently, from New Jersey to check into the hostel on the upper west side, and he paid in cash. I mean, I don't know if this guy's a professional. Maybe got a little sloppy. They got some DNA, fingerprints, all that good stuff, but now catch me if you can. Like I said, I'm not condoning murder, but I can't wait for this trial either. This is going to be great. Going to be great. It's going to be up there with Lori Vallow. Great. Anyway, apparently this gentleman, unidentified man, checked out of the hostel on November 29th before checking back in on November 30th. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait. Can't wait. Big day. Scott wins his 5 counts, not guilty, serious sex case, marathon, baton death march trial, Daniel Penny winning, unidentified hitman still on the run. I'm saying it's a pretty good day so far. I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. Anyway, new information on the Suzanne Simpson disappearance. That's right, the missing Texas realtor, Suzanne Simpson. Well, some DNA has been found on a handsaw, police say. Her real estate tycoon husband hid from authorities during the search for her. Now, I'm sure the defense is going to say that was her favorite handsaw. She used it all the time. And if she got DNA on that handsaw, on the blade, it's because she probably cut herself because she so frequently used the handsaw. The more time that she spent with it, the more likely that she would get her DNA on it. Of course, you're going to find her DNA on it. You might as well go to her bedroom and take out her sheets. You're going to find some DNA there too, Mr. Police Officers. Is Scott still in trial mode here? I think he is. I think he's still in trial psychosis. Anyway, Brad Simpson, the husband, was indicted by a grand jury on first-degree murder charges Tuesday, 2 months after his wife went missing. Now, Susan's family has since stated that authorities have told them her DNA was found on a handheld reciprocating saw, a motorized handsaw, which was mentioned in a newly unsealed indictment. Her favorite handsaw. I'm sure she was a DIYer doing it yourself. Anyway, it claimed that Brad knowingly hid from the investigators while it was in progress, that the missing persons, that he hid the saw on October 8th with the intent to impair the ability and availability of evidence in the investigation. Now, the indictment does not specify how he hid the weapon or where it was found. Prosecutors also claimed in the indictment that the father of 4 tried to hide a machine gun that was not registered with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, or in the National Firearms Registration Act. Talking about the overregulation of America, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're talking about. You can't even have your fully automatic machine gun without letting the government know. Okay, just joking. All my ATF friends out there, just joking, all right? Anyway, it is the same firearm that investigators say that Brad had his friend and longtime business partner, James Cotter, hide for him after his wife disappeared. Now, the husband was first arrested back on October 9th in Kendall County, Texas, 3 days after The mother of four was last seen late out on the front of their home in San Antonio's Olmus Park. Apparently, it's quite little trendy little area. Anyway, a neighbor had claimed that shortly before 11 p.m. on October 6th, they'd witnessed Brad and Suzanne in the midst of a heated argument in their garage, and they were physically struggling with each other, probably fighting over the handsaw, ladies and gentlemen. It was hers, and she's not going to let him borrow it. Anyway, at some point, they said Suzanne was attempting to get away from Mr. Simpson's grasp as he tried to pull her downward, trying to get the saw, obviously. And he then chased after her as she ran away with the saw. Just kidding, according to the affidavit. Anyway, the neighbors also allegedly claimed that he heard screams from a wooded area before Brad reemerged about an hour later and drove off in his own truck. Now, the Simpsons' 5-year-old child was also questioned by a school counselor and claimed that his father pushed her mother against the wall physically, and that the mother's face was hurt and her elbow as well. Now, obviously, a 5-year-old child is not competent to testify, so I'm sure the defense will be objecting to that statement coming in at trial. Now, Brad also allegedly turned off her mother's phone because they were fighting, according to the children as well. And police now say that Brad was seen the following day with bulky garbage bags and ice coolers covered up in a tarp in the flatbed of his truck as he pulled into a Whataburger. He allegedly bought some concrete and visited a dump site before spending 13 minutes in nearby Bandera, where he seemingly unloaded a large object from the bed of his truck. Haven't we seen this before in the Traconis matter, right? Chopping her up, dispersing her around town. Anyway, it was that day that Brad first reported that his wife was missing, and then the next day he reported went to buy some Clorox wipes and some more cement. The first few days of the missing person investigations, police said Brad showed no emotion. They said he appeared unconcerned about his wife's being missing and showed little to no emotion, with a Texas Ranger also observing that Brad had several scratches and lacerations on his arms as well. Obviously, that saw is a doozy. Anyway, detectives later explained that the behavior was a factor in them believing that Brad intentionally and knowingly caused the death of his wife back on October 6th in San Antonio. They also noted that Brad was initially cooperative with police, but then gave conflicting stories when pressed on details as it relates to his wife's disappearance. Another good reason not to talk to the police. Bradley. Anyway, at first, Brad claimed he had last seen his wife about 11 p.m. on October 6th, and they were walking through the country club. But another point, he claimed he last saw her about 6:30 a.m. on October 7th, shortly before he said he dropped one of the kids off for school. Apparently, he peeked into a separate room and observed his wife sleeping like a baby that morning. When investigators searched through the phone, they reportedly found that he had engaged in a series of complete shutdowns starting at 11:09 p.m. on October 6th and ending the next day. He was allegedly going further than turning the phone off and instead put it in lockdown mode, which, according to the arrest affidavit, notes it's classed by the FBI as done by a person who wants to avoid detection. Or maybe just wants to get away with her saw. I don't know. Come on, people. Anyway, by the time Brad was originally arrested, officers said he did not appear surprised at the time of his arrest, nor question why he was apprehended on charges of assault causing bodily injury. Brad is now facing charges of second-degree tampering with evidence with the intent to impair a human corpse, third-degree possession of prohibited weapons, and third-degree tampering, fabricating physical evidence with the intent to impair. If found guilty, Bradley could be sentenced anywhere from 2 years to 99 years in prison. But his lawyers have argued that that's not going to be a problem because the prosecutors cannot charge Brad without saying how he may have killed his wife. Oh, yeah, and by the way, have you got a body? Huh, got a body? A little tough. Just remember the Suzanne Morphew case. A little tough. Anyway, the attorney representing Bradley said the indictment is vague, indefinite, ambiguous, and uncertain, and argued that the indictment does not say how Miss Simpson was killed or where he hid the body, and it's impossible to craft a reasonable defense without knowing such specificity. Of course, the prosecutor would say, well, Mr. Defense Attorney, why don't you go ask your client? Anyway, the attorney stated that he said the state must present more evidence before the prosecution can continue. We'll obviously give Bradley the presumption of innocence, but obviously it's not looking great for him either. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's a little easier to prove if you have a body, right? No face, no case. Next on the docket, this day in illegal history. That's right, December 6th, 1864. Salmon P. Chase becomes the Chief Justice. That's right, Salmon P. Chase was nominated by President Abraham Lincoln as Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Chase later presided over significant cases during the Reconstruction era, including those concerning civil rights and wartime powers. And then on December 6th, 1865, that's right, ratification of the 13th Amendment. Slavery was officially abolished in the United States when Georgia became the 27th state to ratify the 13th Amendment. Obviously, a pivotal amendment that reshaped the nation's legal framework, ending centuries of enslavement. And then on December 6, 1933, Prohibition was repealed. That's right, the 21st Amendment to the United States Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. The United States repealed Prohibition, ending 13 years of a nationwide alcohol ban. Obviously, it marked a major shift in criminal law enforcement and public policy regarding alcohol regulation. And everybody's been driving drunk since. And then on this date, December 6, 1978, the Chicago police were on trial for the Fred Hampton raid. That's right, a grand jury investigated the pre-dawn raid that resulted in the death of Black Panther leaders Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. Allegations of excessive force and political targeting by law enforcement sparked legal battles over civil rights as well. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Poor guy. This Republican Tennessee state senator has been arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence and being involved in a hit-and-run crash. Please meet your elected official there in Tennessee, Ken Yeager, chairman of the Tennessee Senate Republican Caucus. He was arrested while on vacation at Jekyll's Island, Georgia on Tuesday, according to some preliminary report. Now, footage obtained shows the moments that Senator Yeager took a field sobriety test conducted by Georgia State Patrol troopers. Now, in the video there, Senator Yeager can be seen struggling to put one foot in front of the other and walk in a straight line, and appears to be somewhat unsteady on his feet. And the good senator failed the test, which had to be cut short over safety concerns as he struggled to perform the one-legged stand. Now, the senator, 77, was booked into the local county jail there at the detention center and charged with hit and run, duty of a driver to stop and return to the scene of an accident, failure to stop at a stop sign, and DUI as a less safe driver. He was released early on Wednesday after he posted a $2,100 bond. The senator put out a statement, said an unfortunate incident happened last night, and on the advice of my attorney, I can't discuss particulars at this time, and I will continue to cooperate fully with authorities and bring this incident to the appropriate conclusion. Now, how did they come across the good senator? Apparently, state troopers were notified of an apparent hit and run involving a Ford Edge with Tennessee license plates about 5 p.m. on Tuesday evening. Needless to say, people responded. Yeager, who had apparently tripped and fallen over when he was being evaluated at the scene as well. Now, Yeager is alleged to have said he was involved in a crash having a couple of glasses of wine previously in the day. Oh, I'm sure you did, Senator. Jekyll's Island, probably a couple of bottles. I wonder how many lobbyists were down there. How many lobbyists getting the senator liquored up? Anyway, the troopers there in Georgia noticed that Yeager had a very distinct odor of alcohol on his breath, and he also appeared to have, wait for it, urinated on himself. That's classy, Senator. That's classy. Urinating on yourself. And take a look at it. We got footage. Footage of Yeager taking part in the sobriety test shows what appears to be a damp patch on his pants. Now, Yeager also told the troopers that he believed everyone involved in the earlier crash was fine and spoke to the driver of the vehicle. He said that he left the scene not knowing that the police were on the way. Anyway, he agreed to a breathalyzer test, and his BAC was .140, well over the legal limit of .08. Anyway, the Republican refused to submit to a blood test. Ooh, gonna have some serious consequences there, Senator. Now, the good senator's term, he'll be 77, ends in 2028. I think it may be time for the good senator to hang it up. Don't you think people in power should probably be doing it better than everybody else? I get it, people can make mistakes, but don't do it while you're in public office. If you do, you gotta go. Anyway, the senator, the good senator, Senator Yeager, you are our dumb criminal of the day. First of all, you're 77. You sure as hell know better. You're now an embarrassment to yourself, your family, the state of Tennessee over a DUI, and you peed your pants. You peed your pants, Senator. You are a dumb criminal of the day. That's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. See you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. And remember, the Constitution matters.